We moved from Dublin to London. At least the Vikings did.
They did.
They get the win here. They can't win in Ireland, but they can win.
They sent
in Dublin.
apparently.
London.
You can't help yourself.
It's just a couple six-letter words.
Disgusting colonialism in action.
It's just six-letter words. I confuse them all the time.
They said on the broadcast that apparently in prep for this, this idea that the Vikings were going to spend the back-to-back weeks across the pond, as you would say,
yes,
and not come home. They sent 37,000 pounds of equipment to Dublin in July.
In July?
July.
You got to get it used to
that brings so many questions up. Where did they stash 37 pounds worth of crap in Dublin for like 6 months?
You should have offered up your
That's
apartment.
6 months. I don't have 37 pounds worth of space in my place, trust me. That's a lot of stuff to be over there. Also, how do they have like 37,000 pounds worth of spares that they don't need for the next few months, that they can just leave sitting there in a storage place in Dublin? And then that has to then transport it. And then lastly, 3 big questions. Number one, like those two. Thirdly, what are they doing with 37,000 pounds worth of crap now that they've done with these 2 weeks left to bring it home?
You could slow play it coming back. You don't need it. It's all your backup stuff.
But you got to bring it
you got to get it out there early, though. Got to get it out there early because you can't risk it week of or a couple weeks early.
But you also have to do something with it at the end. Like you have now 37,000 pounds worth of crap that needs to go somewhere.
Maybe they donate it.
It's off to Africa.
Donate it, buy it somewhere. Maybe the NFL loses money with these overseas games.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the Vikings won 21-17. People like to tune in to us for some reason, but supposedly because we bring in the high-level analysis. And you are
37,000 pounds.
You're bringing it so far today. You are bringing it today
into the weeds.
Vikings 21-17, game-winning touchdown. Carson Wentz to Jordan Addison. Addison, who was benched in the first quarter, but he gets the game-winning touchdown here. Heartbreaker for the Browns, and feels like a game. Hey, if the Vikings are going to save their season, they really needed to pull this one off as they moved to 3-2.
Yeah, they did, and it didn't look like it was going to go their way for most of the game, I would say. It's funny, almost everything interesting I found from this game has nothing to do with what was happening on the field.
Surprising.
Few things. I mean, look, they had a graphic, I think, that nobody has gotten more snaps out of their rookies than the Browns this year, and that's only going to increase with Dylan Gabriel coming in at quarterback, potentially Shooter Sanders down the line. But Dylan Gabriel's debut, he looked pretty good against the Brian Flores Minnesota defense, which, it does have some weaknesses. It's not like this is an impenetrable, unstoppable force of a defense. Like, you can run on this defense. I think we've seen that a couple of times now with Atlanta, with Quinshon Judkins in this game. For a defense that plays the way they do, I'm surprised how often they are gap unsound in the run game. Like, how often guys are just not in the gap, right? And when you're not, that's a big play instantly. Now, at least on one occasion in this game, it was because it was a holding call dragging a guy out of a gap. But, you think the way they play defense, sort of swarming the line, throwing people at the line of scrimmage, et cetera, bodies for the pass game, as long as everyone's in a gap, you're technically sound against the run as well, and yet that doesn't happen a lot of times.
Well, the Vikings, the last couple of years, have had a very good run defense.
Sure.
And we talked about this in the offseason. Then they opt into 2 defensive tackles in free agency who haven't been great against the run. They've been more, pass rushers, penetrator types, and Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. Then they trade one of their more dependable run stoppers in Harrison Phillips. Right. They're going to replace him with Jalen Redmond, Levi Drake Rodriguez. So there's some questions at defensive tackle as far as the run game goes.
Yeah, the logic was as long as each one of these guys is simply playing a gap, then we're fine, right? We don't need a 2-gapping, run-stuffing specialist. We just need everybody to be in their gap at the right time.
Most teams do that, but It's like you still need people. You need block destroyers.
But what I'm saying is it's amazing how often the guy simply isn't in this gap.
It is I'm calling it an experiment because they were very good against the run last year without having great run stoppers. I think they got worse in that department, but they play more 8-man in the box than most, and so you're just outnumbering the offense more often than not, and they're not this year. They're not doing that this year. So Quinshon Judkins, I thought, was very impressive for the Browns. Once again, when we talk about relying on their rookies, Judkins had 110 yards. Felt like more, to be honest.
Yeah.
It did feel like
it was more because they had a big run.
They did, right? That's right. He had the 50-something yarder called back. So Judkins, when you go back and look at the stats, the fact that Dylan Gabriel threw the ball 33 times, and drop back a few more times than that, it felt like it was a very conservative Browns game plan where the whole offense was running through Judkins. They didn't ask a ton of Gabriel, a lot of screens and short stuff, and you did make some nice throws when needed. But I thought they managed it well, other than, hey, you got to put more points on the board, because as great as this is the problem with trusting your defense. Hey, we trust our defense. Well, they could give up big drives too, right? They could give up a game-winning drive, even as great as the Browns' defense has been this year, and I think that's what did them in.
Like, you're only ever a play away from a 7-point swing. Like, as much as you want to trust your defense, and 90% of the snaps they may do a great job, it takes one mistake for that to immediately be erased with 7 points on the board. Like, it's really hard to trust your defense is going to be perfect in today's NFL, because it rarely is.
Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action. Anyway, from a Cleveland perspective, we said this last week, impressed with all the rookies, right? Carson Schwessinger, the second-round linebacker, but offensively, Judkins now being the bell cow running back. Love the way he finishes runs. Like, when you give it to him in and around the goal line, 4th and 1, he finishes extremely well. He was creating some big plays in there as well. I thought Gabriel looked solid in his debut. Isaiah Bond back in there, as a UDFA rookie. So that's encouraging. But, if you're trying to, get the season back on track, if you're Cleveland, that's a missed opportunity here with the late loss.
It is, but I think, minimum you would say, look, it's going to be a different style of offense, but we're not downgrading going from Flacco to Dylan Gabriel. He looked like he could run this offense. He had a nice connection with David Njoku. That's a big thing. You would say Njoku might be their best receiving option within the offense. So to have him immediately on the same page, they had a bunch of really nice connections, 2 or 3 that were very good in this game. The first drive was like Dylan Gabriel, Harold Fannin connecting as well. That was encouraging. And, there was some plays that he would want back, but everybody has that. Like, this was a pretty good debut for a rookie, again, given the opposition. Like, I'm not, as much as there are some weaknesses being exposed within this Flores defense, it's still a nasty defense to first start against.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for the Vikings, again, for a team that has high expectations this year, coming off of a tough loss in Dublin last week, to come good in London this week, and Carson Wentz only sacked 3 times this week against that fierce defensive front. There's a couple Malik Collins, again, just looks unblockable this year. You still have Myles Garrett and all the attention that he's getting, opening things up. Alex Wright, das Wunderkind, with a great game, Alex Wright, for the Browns. But Carson Wentz did a better job getting rid of the ball. He got the ball down the field to Jordan Jefferson for a couple big plays, and then leads that game-winning drive and the game winner to Addison to get the Vikings to 3-2.
Yeah. They had the Carson Wentz experience, which was, I think, fairly much standard. There was one play where he took off scrambling on 3rd down, got himself whacked by like 2 linebackers, smushed, and then immediately is in the blue tent, getting a shoulder looked at. And you're like, what's the point in being 6'5", 235 if, like, the second you're hit, you're in the tent? Like, it must be so, even just for him, it must be so annoying to be that big and strong. And like, any slight contact, you're like, well, that's the blue tent again. We're going to see if I can make it through this game. That's like, as much as we talk about,
it's because you can't take the hits, man.
Yeah,
you can't take those extra hits.
But then there's no point in being that big and strong. Like, Josh Allen. Part of the point of being Josh Allen is that you are bigger and stronger than almost anybody else on the field.
So what should he do?
There's nothing you can do about it. It's just unlucky. That's what I'm saying. Like, it must be really, really annoying for Carson Wentz to be a giant. There's like 1 or 2 other quarterbacks in the NFL that can rival his sheer stature of, look at me, monstrous statue like Adonis of what this position should be. Only, unlike the other ones, the second anybody touches me, I just break.
It's a great show so far. You're just like, just be more durable, Carson.
I'm not saying you do anything about it. Carson. I'm just saying it's really unfortunate that, like, the thing that should be his calling card or like his greatest strength is in fact irrelevant because he can't use it.
Anyway, anything else on this game?
Yeah, so you had the benching of Jordan Addison so obviously he's only just back from being suspended. And then I don't want to get the rumors are a wash. Kevin O'Connell, I think, said he missed some team walkthrough or something, and they're going to keep the details in-house. We had a rare...
He's got jet lag, man. It's been a rough couple of weeks.
There's a tweet out there where somebody said Jordan Addison is simply missing in London right now.
He's at the Big Ben clock.
Right. No details, but like he's AWOL. Anyway, I have no idea how true that is, but according to Kevin O'Connell,
is it easy to get lost in London?
And they're keeping that's the discipline, right? We had a rare opportunity though for the sideline coach interview to actually be useful and say, hey, one of your starting wide receivers has yet to enter the game. He's sitting on the sideline just watching.
Any insight on that, Kevin?
Kevin, any reason for that whatsoever? And instead, they're like, Kevin, tell us about that cool Cam Akers play we just saw. You know, everyone just saw it right there. We don't really need any, but tell us about it. What is the point in a sideline coaching interview if the one time there's something we actually want to know, you don't even ask the question? Now, you know, people are like, well, of course, he would have just dead batted the question. Yeah, but it's still your job to ask. Like, you're a journalist, and literally the most pressing story right now is...
Well, you're not going to get any better information asking about a random play either.
Well, people are like, well, look at that nugget. Kevin O'Connell talked about scouting Cam Akers way back in the day. Anyway, that's like a dereliction of duty. Like, your only possible purpose is you're a journalist.
Cancel.
Find out why Jordan Addison is not playing football right now. And instead, they're just like, hey, what about that Cam Akers play, Kevin? That was pretty special.
Cancel all of the
egregious
coaching interviews. Cancel all of them.
The other thing we need to talk... Yes, I agree.
Where are the games next week?
The other thing we need to talk about, two sides of the same coin, I guess. Myles Garrett and the Browns did the thing that you were asking them not to do in the lead up to this game, which is, why would you spend all of your time going up against Christian Darasaw, who's very good, when the opposite side of the equation is a third-string offensive lineman who wasn't very good at the left side?
And there was a point where Minnesota was down to, so Justin School started at right tackle.
Yes.
He's not great in pass protection. Then there was a point where Darasaw was on his pitch count. He comes out.
So that's the other side of the coin we need to get to.
Then School moves to left tackle. Walter Rouse comes in at right tackle. But early in the game, when Darasaw's in there, I see both. I see both things. Like, defense isn't as simple as Myles. Just always line up at against the right tackle. But when Garrett's getting extra chip help and like you know where he is, I don't know if Kansas City actually does this. Like, they break the huddle and Chris Jones is like, I'll take right tackle. Like, I don't think it's the way it's conveyed. But I would flip Myles. I would just be like, look,
yes,
I'm going to make you change your protection. I don't want you to know where I'm going to be. It's not like Garrett has never rushed from the other side.
Well, so
it's not like flipping like TJ Watt and like the structure of the Steelers' odd defense has TJ Watt on that side. It's been like that for decades in Pittsburgh. That's how they run their defense. Myles Garrett can flip sides.
Yes.
He can go rush over the A gap. I would just move him and just be like, here, Justin School. Like, send 3 people over here to block me on a play.
Garrett was asked about it during the week and said something like, look, he prefers to test himself against the best offensive linemen, and that frees up everybody else to go up against weaker linemen and, you know, really eat, right? And, okay, number one, I think that's a noble enough viewpoint from his perspective. I applaud that. Number two, I can also see the logic in being like, okay, now Alex Wright, it's your time to go and cook against Justin School. And if you can't do that, what are you even doing here? However, so I'm kind of okay with the idea of, all right, let's give that a shot as the initial salvo, right? Let's see how that works. At halftime in this game, Christian Darasaw had basically locked down Myles Garrett. And you're like, all right, now change it, right? However noble or sound as a game plan that was to begin with, Darasaw is beating you one-on-one currently, and the other guys are not eating. So instead, why don't we move you to the other side where Justin School cannot block you one-on-one, and they will have to dedicate extra resources over there. And then it doesn't matter what's happening on the Darasaw side.
But I get the idea, right? If you can slow down Garrett, even with extra bodies, Darasaw is going to shut down either Isaiah McGuire or an Alex Wright, theoretically.
But now you're like, you have to dedicate 2 to 3 bodies to him at any and all.
No, I get it.
So then you get that part I disagreed with. I think you had to move him over to the other side and just let him wreck shop. Then, randomly, I'm not sure if it was the end of the third quarter or the start of the fourth, but somewhere around there, it's like Christian Darasaw is no longer on the field. It's not an injury. Kevin Seifert was reporting that he's just reached his pitch count. They've decided this is all part of his rehab, process, and he's simply hit his snap count and he's out of the lineup and he's not coming back. So in the middle of a close game on the road with the Vikings kind of needing a win for their season. They're just like the one good player on the offensive line that's left standing. He's on the sideline now because the medical people have said, the rehab says can't stress the body this much. It was time to take him off the field. What? Are you serious? How is that the way this works? Aside from anything else, last week,
thinking long term,
he played 72 snaps last week. How did he not hit his pitch count then?
I mean, we know that NFL teams they've got their GPS data and they've got all this stuff that we learned about on our little Super Bowl tour last year. They know something that's like, hey, this dude's got to be on a pitch count. We can't go 72 as he did last week.
As we know, neither one of us is a doctor. But I cannot believe.
But one of us is adjacent to multiple.
But I cannot believe that this is the closest we've come to this working out. That in the middle of a really close game, in a vital game in your season, you just pull your best offensive lineman from the field for the last quarter because you're like, I'm sorry.
Wouldn't you load management that earlier?
The doctors have decided this is his pitch count. Yeah, this is his load management pitch. You couldn't have adjusted the load during the week so that this wasn't going to happen. Again. Whatever about, I do believe there's a time people are like, he's either good to go or he's not. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think there's definitely a world where you can be, not quite 100%, good enough to play, maybe in need of some rest or whatever. But this can't be the way it works. It can't be that just at the end of the third quarter he's off the field now. Figure out a way of adjusting the load so that maybe you take some snaps off him in the first quarter or the second quarter, or he doesn't practice on Wednesday or whatever. Adjust the load so that he's there in the fourth quarter to block Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I would do that.
And yeah, they didn't.
You're on a roll. You're on a roll today.
Ironically, the second he went off the field, the Vikings offense clicked. And they
did.
Everything worked.
It did feel like they were getting rid of the ball quicker. I mean, look, it does go both ways. Having backup linemen can absolutely wreck shop for your offense. It can also make you speed up a little bit. And for Wentz, maybe not the worst thing in the world. Not saying, put backups out there for Carson Wentz. But it did make them, I think, a little bit more cautious from a play calling perspective, and Wentz getting rid of the ball much quicker. And they led the game-winning drive. Without Darasaw out there is impressive for Minnesota.
Yes. Also, by the way, the Addison thing, whose tweet is this? Somebody called Kyle Soap from PFN. Most touchdown receptions by an NFC North player in his first 34 career games. So, an arbitrary cutoff line. But I believe that is the number Jordan Addison's at right now, which is why they're using it. Since 2000. Yeah. So this century. 20, Jordan Addison, number 1. 19, Justin Jefferson, Greg Jennings, and Roy Williams. 17, Megatron and Sam Laporta. 15, Kenny Golladay and Jaden Reed. So despite that run of NFC North wide receivers in this century, which is a lot of them, Jordan Addison has more touchdown receptions than any of the other ones through his first 34 games.
Need I remind you how many quarterbacks Jordan Addison has made throughout his career?
You need not for me, but for the people. Run through it again.
The tweet that I will continue to dust off.
He's going to have a job this season, by the way, to keep that running.
But Jordan Addison took Kenny Pickett from mediocre ACC quarterback to the best season of his career by far and a first-round pick. Caleb Williams, he transfers to USC, goes Caleb Williams' best season with Jordan Addison when he wins the Biletnikoff with Caleb Williams. Then the Vikings lose Jordan Jefferson in his rookie season. He's like, whatever, I don't care. Kirk Cousins still going to ball with me at receiver, which he did. And then last year, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's career year. Now, I know Sam Darnold's playing well this year, but it's a good story. Jordan Addison, always adjacent to quarterback breakouts. And now we only have 2 weeks of him with Carson Wentz, and we'll get to see more with J.J. McCarthy, presumably, at some point. But Jordan Addison's always been around elevated quarterback play. Because look what happened. Pickett, Caleb Williams, Kirk Cousins, none of them did anything without Jordan Addison after the fact.
2 other tweets I wanted to put out here, which this was a fun game for random stats.
We're still going
tweets.
Here.
Yeah.
This game.
You have one of these NGS ones later, but the Vikings win probability dropped as low as 18% after they punted with 3:27 left in the fourth quarter, trailing 17-14.
Nailed it.
That was the point where the offense then clicked. So it wasn't quite as soon as Darasaw left the field. It was a bit later than that. But after that, Carson Wentz finished 9 for 9 for 71 yards, including that 12-yard game-winning touchdown pass to Jordan Addison. And then lastly, the most Browns stat of all time. You ready for this one?
Yes.
From DraftKings, Cleveland Browns quarterbacks are 0-17 when making their first career start since they returned as a franchise.
Wow. 0-17.
0-17. Every single one of them lost their first start.
Gabriel could have changed
Could have
everything.
changed the history, changed the future, changed it all. Instead, nope.
We should start
just another futile Browns quarterback.
We should start a new jersey for all the Browns quarterbacks who have lost in their first start.
That was where I also discovered that Deshaun Kaiser finished his career 0-15 as a starter.
Oh, man. He was so mad at me when I was criticizing him coming out as a prospect. Yeah, it happens. All right. I've got no more use for the London game. You're on a roll.
0-15 is hard to get to. It really is. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
And the all-knowing algorithm is convinced you'll also like these videos, and who are we to argue?